Hi, Mercy. Hi. Hi, Leon. Hi. Okay, let me not go into everyone name by name, but I am happy to see all of you here. I believe we're all preparing for paper or are helping people prepare for paper. So I'm Jenna Kalema. I am a student like most of you. Yeah, that should keep you calm. And I think the introductions that Michael was passing around, that apparently I read and passed for my paper in 1 month. And that's a lot of shine, a lot of shine. Nonetheless, the academy, I believe we all signed up for these tutorials because we wanted to excel, because we wanted to pass. And I similarly embarked on the same journey that you embarked on last year, April last year, and I'm still doing the same thing this year. So I guess a tip or two could help, right? And what it looked like for me then was I was given a chance by the academy to do a paper under their sponsorship. Yay, yay to me. And yeah, so I did CM1 and they announced the results of the winners of the Africa Scholarship Fund literally a day to the release, to the end, in fact, of registration for these exams. What that meant was that I had about a month and 2 extra weeks to prepare for my paper. And yeah, I believe you're asking a month. What does that mean? And I was scared because I've been given a chance and I can't waste it, but also scared because my future depended on this. Yeah. And I believe we're in the same place. So maybe I'll just get right to it. What that looked like for me in campus as doing my final semester, definitely you're trying to do your best to get your GPA to the best place it can be. And yeah, papers had to happen. So as an actuarial person, maybe first thing I talk about, Mercy, is it okay for me to go forward from here into the what we do? Okay.
Yes.
So first thing I talk about is sacrifice. I believe if you chose the actuarial journey, you should have prepared your heart for sacrifice because that in itself is the true definition of the actuarial journey. And what that looked like for me then was to basically put my friendships to a hold, yeah, to a beat, to first put my priorities, set my priorities straight. And that for me was definitely I wanted to pass this paper. I needed to cover as much as I could. I needed to understand. And that being my priority, I had to set in place steps that could help me get there. Now, I was lucky that I had Leon, yeah. A number of you have also had the chance to have Leon as a tutor. And so, yeah, just shout out to him. he's really been of much help. So what Leon did for me then, I basically was at zero. And if he remembers, I remember asking so many questions in those tutorials, asking him to take me through topics, if he could create time to just help me with topics I didn't know, because I needed as much help as possible. Which brings me down to the fact that as an actuarial person, you can't do it all, right? You cannot do it all, and so you need as much help as possible. That would simply tell me to maybe just advise all of you to reach out to whoever you can. If you have a network of people doing the same thing with you, the same papers, doing actuarial papers, hold tight to them, hold close to them, and make a plan to grow together in this journey. In that way, you have support where you feel like you cannot carry on. Someone else can help you walk through the moments where you cannot do it yourself, right? And so Leon, in that specific tutorial cohort, he helped us cover a few things, the most vital of things. And I had another friend, he's called Elvis. Yeah, he's in Kenya. So for them, they were way ahead. They'd started out. And I told him I'm starting and I'm scared. What do I do? And so he tells me, which paper are you doing? And I tell him I'm doing CS1. He's like, okay, make sure you know this topic, this topic, this topic, and that topic, right? So what he basically did was to make sure I knew the topics that were most essential, the core topics of this subject, without which I basically had no marks in this paper, right? And so for CS1, that will look like linear regression, your GLMs, it will look like your correlation. In short, the whole paper is essential, but there's those topics that are bound to come year after year, and they come with enough marks. Leon could tell us better. Yeah, he's in a better place to tell us. But there's those topics without which you're doing the paper is shaky, right? And so in this last month, I'd maybe urge us all, CM1, CS1, yeah, because I believe those are the papers that we're doing. Could you identify those topics for yourself? Identify those topics, okay, maybe with the help of your tutor, but evaluate how well do I know these topics, right? Can I do any question that came from these topics? Because they are essential, they hold the weight of the paper. And Leon still did encourage us to read the rest, because if those other topics that we deem as minor came, you'd be in for chaos, you get, and you'd not want to be in such a place where a question came and you had zero idea about it, right? So yeah, what is that supposed to say? That one, get your topic straight. Get your topic straight in order of priority. Make sure your top priority is mastered through and through. And no matter what tricks come, you have the hand of it, right? And Leon will tell you to have a plan. He told us to have a plan. Even the cohort before, he basically asked us to provide timetables. In other words, what are you going to do for the next 3 weeks, 1 month? Can you actually have that written down in pen and paper? Yeah, in other words, for this CM1, we're doing the paper on 8th, right? Today is the 11th. So from 11th to 8th, on each day, what do you determine to do? What do you want to cover? What do you want to achieve? And make them goals in such a way that should that day come to an end, you must have covered what you will to cover, right? So the next few days, because this is the last month is the most essential month for us as students, right? What you do in this month can either build you or, I don't know, mess you up really. Yeah, so this month is for us to sacrifice, is for us to strategize, is for us to do our best. And so I'll tell you, for every single day that passes this month, what is your plan? Yeah, I'll ask you this question more than once so that you think about it and write it. Do not have a plan in your head. It is not a plan because it can be swayed by whatever else will come. So I'll tell you to please and please share with your tutor, share with Leon, share with Lee your plan for this 1 month, and at least have someone to hold you accountable for that plan and to help you walk through it. And that aside, I guess it still comes back down to the last month. We need to know how serious what we have before us is, right? Mercy would call that us knowing that how much rigor we need to put into this. And it is what it is. We need to know what is required of us. And maybe Leon would have a few words at the end, but it calls for a lot. To look at the actuarial papers as needing anything less than a lot is a lie. And so I'll just put it out there again that we have a lot to do, and that a lot must actually be accompanied by careful strategic plans that are implemented. Now, I think I've talked about what to do in the 1 month.
Not at all. Super useful.
So, yeah, maybe just a few things to share before Mercy takes over. As a student, maybe you're wondering, how best can I do this thing? And there's no one shoe fits all kind of plan for the papers. Everyone is different. Everyone has a different way of learning and all. But the best way of doing this paper is making it easy for yourself, right? The probability of finishing this paper is close to zero, honestly speaking. People barely finish the papers, but there are people who finish them. They're sharp, they're there. You may be one of them. If you are, cheers to you. But because the probability of finishing it is hard based on the fact that we're typing, this 1 month should be your off paper month. get off the paper. Stop doing your papers in your numbers on a paper. Switch to your laptop, get to typing. Even if it's a lesson that you're learning, please type it out. If you're doing numbers, make sure you have more than, okay, not more, but at least an hour or two typing daily. And then with that put aside, we'd maybe also go back to, this is the math of making sure what you've read can be implemented, right? So this should be a number month. Let the content, definitely we should have grasped content. If we haven't, we should be doing our best, but it should be backed up by our ability to turn that knowledge into numbers, right? How many numbers can you do? If you fail to do this number today, can you do it tomorrow? You get, it should be an evaluation of your improvement from when you started reading and where you are now and how to make it better towards the paper. So do your best to make sure you are not where you were at the beginning of this month. Tomorrow should not find you the same way it has found you today, you get. And I'd maybe think about, do numbers in terms of how to make life easy for ourselves. Leon definitely had me walking a journey of realizing that you need to simplify this for yourself, right? The content is already hard, and so you can't replicate it. The best way is to find how easily you can reproduce this for whoever will mark your paper, right? And for me then in CS1, it was to stop doing as many workings in my paper and turn them into something in Excel that I can simply copy and paste into my Word, right? But still with the right equation so that my marker will know what I'm doing, right? He'll be able to follow, he'll be able to understand. And so I'll charge you with the same task. How best can you simplify what you have before you? I could maybe show you what I'm doing for CM1, but as I said, it's not a one shoe fits all kind of scenario. And so maybe what I'm doing could not be something helpful for someone else. Okay. I don't know if you can see my Excel screen, right?
Yes,
So
I
this,
can.
as I said, this is just an example of what making easy looks like for me on my end, right? That I'm just going to use annuities as an example. For anyone doing CM1, maybe this can make sense to you. If you're doing CS1, it may not, but yeah. So in my annuities, I definitely know that we have annuities in areas and in advance, we have accumulations, we have pitly payments, and you get things of the sort. So basically, if I wanted to cross-check my answers or anything of the sort, I'd basically just fill in values. If maybe we had a 10% interest rate for 5 years, this would be my AN, my present value, this would be my V. Like basically, this would be what I'm taking with me, right? So I can properly explain to my examiner that this is how I'm getting my present value. That is the formula, right? It is very clear. And I have put in my values for I, for my N, for my V, everything is clear, right? So what this looks like for me is in my paper, I'd cut the time of maybe typing a million equations, right? And I just get that and put it in my Word. I don't know how practical it is on everyone else's end, but that is something that I thought would make my life easier and like just fasten the time with which I work because there's no time, right? There's no time. And so you could maybe set aside time and do something for yourself, maybe for CS1 or CM1. It could help you. Leon can tell us better if he agrees with it or not. But other than that, I guess what I can tell you is, yeah, get into the questions. Do as many mock exams as you can do, right? This is a month to test your ability to decipher any question in whatever form that they bring it. And so I'll say do as many mock exams as you can do, and do them in the right time. We don't have time anymore, so now should be you training yourself to do this paper within that restricted time in those same conditions, to train your brain to adjust to that heat, that pressure. So do as many exams as you can, do as many Series X questions, and don't forget paper B. Yeah, most importantly, don't forget your paper B. Paper B contributes a lot, and it means a lot despite the fact that we may push it to the side to cover paper A. Yes, so please do put in the work for that. Yeah, I think I have overtalked. So I'll just hand over to Mercy to maybe carry on using her own experience.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, Gemma. I think I found that super comprehensive. If I was sitting the exams, I feel like I would be walking away with very tangible tips on what I could try implement over the next month. And I think for me, the things that have stood out is and somehow they're just similar things I had to bear in mind when I was doing my own exams. So the first one is on sacrifice, and just to overlay what Jenna has indicated, I remember the day I qualified, like the day I passed my final exams. When I told my friends, they were like, "Who? Finally, she'll be available. No more excuses that I have exams in April, I have exams in September." So that's just the weight to which your sort of social life has to, yeah, you have to get a very intricate balance, because of course there are things you can't really just drop down, but you sort of need to just attend to the extremely the necessities. And it's a sacrifice that's worth it, it will feel like forever, because then the actuarial journey is not, it's not something you do over 1 year 2 years then you're done, yeah, for some people it would be 5 to 7 years, 5 to 10 years, or whatever duration we take. So it calls for that sacrifice. And yeah, I think what can really keep us going is the sacrifice is worth it in the end, and it for sure comes to an end. So I think I can't really underemphasize the point around sacrificing. If you're just starting exams, how your weekends were structured last year should not feel like how your weekends are this year. Because if you're feeling like you're just able to show up for everything that you could last year, then there is a question mark around how you are utilizing your time and just trying to cut out on anything that you can. So for me, I think that was extremely key, just defining what is absolutely necessary and what do I still need to attend to outside school or outside work, then sticking to that, and just having the rest of the time for my exam revision. Then the other things that Jenna has highlighted, and just overlaying my own experience, is, so I generally found the first few exams, the first 1 or 2 exams, the toughest. And the reason I say so is you're still trying to establish your winning strategy, your winning formula. So I was telling Jenna, for instance, last year such a time, she was preparing for her first exam, so she didn't have an idea of what works for her, but she was sort of just contacting her tutors, trying to come up with all this shorthand notation. But now that she's doing her second paper, she's carrying on this strategy to the second exam. So I think I found the first initial exams challenging, just because you're still establishing your winning strategy. But once you're done with your first 2 exams, it's sort of just replicating the same strategy and tweaking it a bit for the higher level exams that require just a slightly different mindset. But by then you have more experience and know how to present your answers to the extent that's needed. But just know that the pain you're going through now, if you establish what really works for you, then the second paper and the subsequent papers become easy. So I think it's worth it to just really try and establish your winning formula. And that would look, fundamentally it will have the same, here the basics will all be similar across different people, but what works for one person might look slightly different to what works for another person. So just know that since you're doing your first exam or your second exam, you're still trying to establish that winning formula and winning strategy for yourself. So just keep at it. Then I think the other thing that Jenna touched on that somehow also I could relate to that, and it was extremely key for my own journey, was having accountability partners. Because then we all, so you're doing the exam, but the exam is just like a very small, okay, hopefully big part, but yeah, small part of your very complex life as a whole, right? So the day is bound to happen, like life events are bound to happen, and you're bound to like maybe not stick to the plan that Jenna mentioned. But what I found is if I have someone, that we are either like doing the same exam, or, like has just like recently done that exam. Better, like if you're doing the same exam, then you're holding each other accountable. So you can even like have a shared plan. You can, like you can do the same exams. I remember like when I was doing my exams, so half my exams, so like 8 out of 15, I did while I was still at university. So I had the benefit of there were classmates around me who were doing the same exams. So that really helped, because then we would like go to the library, sit the exams, then just swap and mark for each other and go through the revision together. It might not be possible to have someone physically around to do the same thing, but you're lucky that you are together as a cohort going through the tutorial. So just take advantage of that and buddy up, and just try hold each other accountable. So I remember just a very funny scenario. So when I was still in campus, I wanted to do a particular exam, but I didn't find someone who was doing that. Like my study buddy was not doing that exam. And I literally switched to do whatever exam they were doing, just because of how significant having someone you're going through the same thing really helps. So I think that budding up really helps keep you on your toes, because then you have someone external to yourself who is trying to really encourage you. So for me, that was the other element that really worked for me. Then across my 15 exams, and I've really liked the emphasis you've laid on, we have like, just under 30 days to the exam. How I feel about it today should be different to how I feel about it tomorrow. So for me, it was about the incremental, the incremental improvements. So for me, like something that was extremely key was doing the past exam papers under exam conditions. And that was extremely key, because then you are simulating the real exam environment. And, like here, I would just like, and it would require like a lot of sacrifice on your end. So if you're working or you're studying, then you'd have to think about like what block 3 hours do I have to, or whatever hours that the exams are currently. Can I set aside to do these exams, to do this past paper uninterrupted, and just like simulating the actual exam scenario. So I think I found that super useful. So doing the exams under exam conditions. And the last 1 month was always critical for that. Because then like it's one thing to grasp the concepts, and we have the benefit that most of us have done the actuarial degree or are currently doing the degree. So you have like the fundamentals of the concepts, but then it's about the application. So what Jenna was saying, so it's just not about the theory and the concepts. It's then, can I really apply this in, like an exam setup, which dictates for application. So the more papers you do, the more you get the opportunity to apply your concepts and, just move away from the theory you're learning to the actual application. So what I would do is, say, like if I had a month, I would try and come up with a realistic target of between now and the 8th of April, how many exams do I want to do? So like say ballpark 6, 8 exams, or whatever number, depending on like how much time you have. So I remember for my initial exams, I think we used to do as close as, and it's just because we were still in school, so we had so much time. So I think we used to do like close to 15 past papers and exam conditions. So by the time the exam is coming, you're literally almost certain that you're going to pass. But we all don't have the benefit of time. So come up with something realistic. And it's not about the quantity of the exams, it's about the quality. So one, ensuring that you're doing them under exam conditions. So that's the time, that's the no interruption. Then what I used to do is, say if a paper is 3 hours in the actual exam day, just to help me with my pace, I would slash it by say 15 minutes, so that during my prep, my brain is trying to ensure that I'm finishing this paper within 2 hours, 45 minutes. Then come the exam day, I'll have the 15 extra minutes. So it's more than likely that I'll be able to do 95% of the paper or 90%. So I think like just playing around with the time you allocate to it, just shaving it by 5-10 minutes can really help you try get to speed. So once I feel, so like if I decided I want to do like 6-8 exams over the next like 4 weeks, I would decide like the frequency. So like say one every 3 days or whatever frequency you've decided. Then the most important part for me was it's not really about like what marks I score on that paper. It's about the amount of time. Like yeah, I'll mark them, and hopefully for most of the questions you'll have scored well. But then it's about, if I have a paper in front of me, which are the topics that have costed me in this instance, So Jenna mentioned about like identifying the essential topics. And one way that you can actually identify the essential topics that you're weak at is by doing the exams under exam conditions, because then you'd identify the topics that you maybe just know the theory but not the application. Then I would spend like like say if one of the topics had 15 marks and I scored like 3, that clearly indicates that I have an issue with the concepts or my application of that particular topic. So what I would do is before my next exam, I would try like ramp up my, knowledge of that particular topic, either like through doing other past questions for that topic or going back to my notes and just like trying to get my theory correctly, or the topical questions at the end of the topic. So just trying to solidify the concepts from that topic. And if I have like 2-3 topics that I was kind of weak at, I would do like the same thing. So that meant that by the time I'm doing my next paper, should they set that topic, for sure I won't struggle. If I had a 3 out of 15, this time I'll have a 12 over 15. So for me, it was the incremental gains. And if I give an example of my last paper, so that was my fellowship paper, I think I had like 6 weeks to study for it, because I I had decided I'm superwoman and I'm doing the exam when the baby is like 20 weeks old. So that was a decision I almost regretted. But I remember asking myself, like, I've already done my 14 exams. What has worked for me? I only have 6 weeks to S these. What do I need to do, right? So it was about identifying those essential topics, as Jenna has mentioned. Then I knew that I hadn't like grasped my concepts well, but I was like, what, I've done like a high level perusal of my notes. Let me start the past papers. And for me, that was my winning strategy. And I remember when I did my first paper, of course, because I hadn't like mastered the content so well, I think I scored like a 30 something percent. But it wasn't about the 30 something percent, because that was like 4-6 weeks to the exam. So it wasn't about that percentage. It was about, okay, for this paper, which are the topics I've struggled with. Then I go back to the notes, or I go back to the past, the series X and all that, just try solidifying my knowledge in that topic. By the time I do the next paper, I'll have a 37, the next paper 45. So it's about the incremental changes as opposed to the absolute, so you want like each day to feel different about the paper. So for me, that's the other thing that really worked. So just doing the exams and exam conditions, thoroughly revising and going back to the topics that costed me some marks, and focusing on the incremental gains, just so that I don't lose the focus. Then yeah, I feel like let me just see what else. Yeah, I feel like sorry, just to touch on like one other thing that Jenna has shared. So like the Excel file you shared, I remember when I was doing my SA1, so I did like I think 13 or 14 of my exams, just handwriting, which might have been easier. Then I had to do my fellowship on a screen, typing and all that. So that was a bit challenging. But as Jenna mentions, if you're doing like a topical question, a series X, don't handwrite it, because that won't be the real scenario. Any little thing you're doing, type it out, because then like it's about like trying to get the pace right like during the actual exam day. So I think that's something worth reiterating on. Yeah, so I think for me, those are the key things. So just like lots of sacrifice, but focusing on the bigger picture, because the sacrifice pays off and it definitely comes to an end. Then knowing that your initial exams might feel so tough because you're still trying to establish a winning strategy and a winning formula for your next exam. So hopefully, I believe you'll establish your own formula, and the subsequent papers will feel lighter than having like a study buddy or someone who can hold you accountable of your written down plans. Then like you're just doing the exams under exam conditions, thoroughly reviewing any parts of the syllabus that have costed you, and just focusing on those incremental gains every time you do a paper, and ensuring you're simulating the actual exam environment, which is you need to type out your answers. So just working on your pace. Yeah, so Jenna, I don't know, like if you have any further things to add, just based on my, I think I've just basically repeated what you've said. Sorry, you're on mute, Jenna.
I was saying, not really, you haven't quite repeated everything I have said, but I think also to put out there, yeah, I know we may look like we have things figured out, yeah, Mercy and I, like there was no struggle, no hassle, no moments where we felt like breaking down because things were a lot. And I guess this is just to assure you that your struggle is actually genuine. Yeah, we also faced our moments of this is overwhelming. I need to walk. Let me take a walk. I need to breathe. I need to see someone. And so maybe mine now is maybe just a reminder that yes, we're called to sacrifice, but while you're at the sacrifice thing, don't lose yourself. Please feel free to reach out to someone, talk to someone. Yeah, this last month can get frustrating. I guess maybe some of us know how to work under pressure, but the pressure could get overwhelming. And if that happens, please first close that book, have a walk, go eat a meal. Don't starve yourself. Please rest. Your brain won't work on no sleep. You need to treat it well for it to give you good results. Take care of yourself. Okay, maybe these are just the extras, and probably people are wondering why I'd say this, but you'll need it. Yeah, you'll need it. And above all, I guess this month still is for reminding ourselves that we can sleep after the exam. Yeah. And so for those who have work, yes, we don't have time, but we paid for this paper and we must pass it, right? And so where need be, do wake up at 4, do as many numbers as you can before work, have a 30-minute nap before you leave for work if necessary. Come back home, have a nap, get into those books, have a nap again, wake up and read. We can sleep after the papers, right? So for a student, for a work person, I guess this is just to tell you that time exists if you create the time, right? And there's no option. We must create the time if we want to pass. So I'll still implore you to, create the time, but still be lenient to yourself. Not lenient as in, but you get me. Be kind to yourself, but kind enough to know that what you signed up for requires a lot from you. Yeah, I thought I'd just say that. Otherwise, I do believe Mercy and I could have shared enough. Maybe if you have questions or if Leon himself wants to say something, we'd be glad to hear from both of you. Yeah.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Leon.
Hi, Leon.
I want to thank Mercy and Jenna for coming to highlight various things. So I know we have been speaking much in class, and I've also highlighted some of the few lessons I've learned with these particular papers. Um, and uh, I will say that I haven't gotten that 100% passing formula for myself. I'm still looking for which one is the best one to work for myself. Uh, but something I think that is super key, and I keep on stressing this a lot, being super key, is it's always step one is study for the exams, try to understand the concepts. And once you find you have understood the concept, step two, uh, go to those papers, do them under exams condition, and mark them. And I always feel like if you are marking them, be strict to yourself. Be like this, that strictest teacher that you have ever had ever. So be that strictest teacher to yourself. And by so doing, try to, once you have marked a paper, ask yourself, what did I do well in this paper? What did I not do well in this paper? And what are the areas that I need to improve? Then once you answer those three questions, uh, but, take action towards them. For the questions that you didn't do well, if you need to go back to study, if you need to ask someone question, do that. And I think it's more of like a repeated process. So yeah, that's all that I have. And I really like, so I think for CS1, I think I've always, I mentioned that it's better if sometimes you can have your Excel sheet whereby you can do some few formulas in there. And when it comes to exams, maybe you can find, you copy paste them to Word. Yeah, such can also work. Anything that can help you save a second, you can always try it out. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Leon. I think that's super, super useful. And I like
Yeah.
the fact that, like here it's three different voices, but it's more or less like the same message. Like get your fundamentals right in terms of the concepts of the paper, go through your exam revisions, identifying the areas of weakness and trying to really brush up on those and just ensuring you're doing well. So I feel like we're just like converging to like similar things, which is good to hear. Yes, I think it would be good if we, like, yeah, just have any questions from the students, anything that's working for you, anything, like, yeah, that you've picked up that you're hoping to apply over the next few weeks.
The students seem very sure.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Michelle. Michelle.
Just a question. Is it advisable to overuse the internet, say in paper B, consult ChatGPT when answering the questions?
I think my question to that would be, you need to actually prepare for the paper well in such a way that when you go to that exam situation, to me, like those 3 hours, 15 minutes, I usually feel like I've been there for only 30 minutes. So, so I don't think you'll have that time to go Google something in the internet, look at ChatGPT. It just need you to focus on that paper. So do your Excel practice, do your R practice very well, do your practice very well. So that is all about doing what you need to do rather than researching what you need to do.
In fact, just to add on to that, I'll tell you that initially when I was doing R, I was a bit scared, and so I was trying to see if, okay, definitely because I dedicated less time to it in like my 1 month of preparation as more into paper A. So when it came to paper B, I was trying to see if ChatGPT could help me with the code. How could it help me cheat? Okay, not cheat, but could it give me easier codes than having to go through all the material that was there for me to read, right? And guess what? It probably could give you the codes, but I believe if you're an IFOA marker, you'd be wondering, where did this come from? Like,
Yes.
it is not applicable to a student. If you actually sit down and maybe just do a trial and error for like 3 or 4 codes or formulas that you need to do a normal question, you'll find that their code is way out of the box compared to the simple code they have given you to learn. So, despite the fact that we're trying to save time, that is literally you declaring that I'm here for malpractice, right? Here I am. So I'd encourage you to please put in time and read. What IFOA has for paper B is actually very easy material if you put in time and actually practice it. It is very easy and doable, and you still have time. So I would suggest that you please prepare. I like what Leon said, please prepare, and do not let yourself be dependent on what the internet has to offer. Imagine that day, the internet, ChatGPT said it's unavailable. What would you do? Yeah, you'd cry your eyes out. So please, please, and please adequately prepare.
And I don't know if I'm the only person, maybe those who have also done this paper can confirm to me. I know the paper is open book, but I always feel like trying to go back to my notes, it's just a wastage of time. So I'm always like, if it's anything, let me be ready. Yeah.
Well, and personally say, if you're stuck, you're stuck. For
Yeah.
example, if the question you're being stuck about has 15 marks, I'd go back to my books. I'd go
That's
back.
I feel like if let's say you have 15 minutes, such things can happen in
Okay.
exams,
Yeah,
but I'm just saying like if you can minimize on that, the better for you.
definitely.
Yeah.
I think I would agree with that, because then, and when you're doing the exams, don't aim for perfection. And I think this was touched on by Jenna and Leon to some extent. Like, one, you don't need to like complete, like you have to try your best to do the most marks you can, but like just try, like strategize, so strategize to know which questions will I bag the easiest, and they have like the chunky marks that I can easily just be sure that I've absolutely, like, here I've earned those marks. So I think it's all in the strategy. So don't aim for perfection. So at times, if it's just a very small part of the question that you'd like to refer way into, maybe it's worth it. I just, like, if I've already done like 90% of that question, maybe it's worth it to go to another question that I remember the concepts. So I think it's that strategy, and just like reevaluating what really is happening during that exam.
Yeah.
I think that would also be key.
Yeah. I think for for CM1B, I did CM1. I did it in 2019, so I did the online one. I did paper A in exams room and paper B online. But CS1, I did the new system. And maybe to give you a bit of my experience from CS1, yes, I did my practice, but I think I was so poor when it comes to typing. I feel like I didn't do adequate practice. But before I went to my exams, I was like, I was sure that I can't do more than 85% because and that also that, and what I learned about that is sometimes when you're going to exams, trying to know your weaknesses can sometimes assist you. Like if you know that I can do 85%, you will not waste time in a question that you deliberately know nothing about it. You will go to a next question that you can answer. If you don't know it, you pass it over. So when I went to do it, I can remember that paper A, I actually completed less than 80% of it. Somehow I passed it. I think because I think I understood the concept. So the ones I was able to do, I scored well on them. But if someone would ask me what would have I done better, I feel like if I did more practice to actually do that paper, I think I would have passed well. And that same thing. I also tried to do much practice, but still the typing thing didn't help me so well when I registered now for the CS2 paper. And I think one of the reasons I failed CS2 was my typing speed wasn't right because I only completed like 70% of that paper. So it's something that I will say to date I've not gotten it perfect, but it's something I'm working on still. But I feel it's always good when you go to exams and this is what I can do. Then it's something it's something to work on. You have something to work on. Sure.
Yeah, I really like that, Leon. And I remember like when I was doing my own exams, so I had a study buddy who like his strength was accuracy. For me, my strength was speed. So for him, his weakness was the speed, right? But like if he'd done like 75 or 85% of the paper, you're almost certain 70 out of those are accurate. For me, I think it was speed. So like I would actually manage to do most of the paper. So say 99 or more than 95% of the paper. But then like for some questions, I would not really be accurate or have gotten the concepts quite right. So what strategies worked in the end, right? So I think as Leon says, identify your strengths or your weaknesses and just try, like, yeah, if speed is your issue, like typing speed, try get it to a good extent. So like as Leon said, for him it was 85% of the exam, which is decent enough as long as you're pretty sure of the marks you've, like the things you've written down, which calls for the accuracy. Yeah, so different things would work for different people. So just identify your strengths and your weaknesses and capitalize on them. Yeah.
I think I'm also in for when he said that um strength and weakness wise, he knew like which specific things he'd do. And so for those he didn't, he wouldn't waste as much time. I definitely recommend that 100%. Put as much time as possible on that you know, and perfect it and make sure, as I told you, valuable topics. Do I know them well? Can I make sure that any question that came, I know and I can do? Yeah, that would be so essential right now. And so that in the paper, if anything went wrong, at least you have those topics to smile about, right? Yeah, so definitely prioritize our strength and make them even stronger and try to furnish the weaknesses. Yeah. Any other questions?
Hey everyone, my name is Faith Momani.
Hi, Faith.
Hey, yes, how are you doing, all of you?
Good.
I'm gonna
Faith is my
ask
mentee.
kinda.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm saying Faith is my mentee, just telling people.
I'm gonna ask
Ooh.
kinda weird question.
Yeah.
Okay, as you like for the people who are starting their first papers, there is that fear of maybe failing. How did you overcome it when it came your time?
Um, yeah, I think the question you have asked is not a weird question. It's a question that everyone battles with. Before you start the paper, you're like, you read everything about actuarial. You get then you get about how this actuarial stuff goes and all that. But I will always say, tell people like you have taken the courage to actually do this paper. And once you have taken this courage, put everything 100%, do whatever possible. I like what my principal used to say, do everything to the last atom of your energy. So when you do your best, you do everything, just hope for the best. Then I know even during even the exams, I don't know if maybe I may be different, but to me, no matter how much I prepare, that last 10 minutes or 5 minutes, there will always some anxiety that I usually have before before I download that paper. So I just breathe in, breathe out. And once I start getting into the flow of the paper, I just find myself relaxing and continuing. So I think just take it easy. Don't think too much about it. Just do your best.
Yeah. Thank you, Leon. Yeah, I think, like here what you're basically saying is acknowledging that it's normal. I really, well, I'm hoping there's someone out there who does not get anxious like before like these exams. But I think like that initial anxiety, either like the days leading up to the exams or like, you know, the morning of the exams, I think it's pretty normal, like it's human. But then it's about how do you rise above it like as fast as you can, especially during the exam itself. The initial minutes you might have some anxiety, but then you have to remind yourself, okay, I'm already here. What do I need to do? You know, so just shake it off. And doing your best is the best answer, because then after the exam, regardless of the outcome, the fact remains I did my best both before the exam and during the exam. Then I think the other thing I also picked up is failure, or you know, like 100% success rate for your actuarial exams does not really dictate how good an actuary someone is, because you have different actuarial exam journeys which are very unique to us. You know, yeah, like you might have a failure because you are dealing with something outside your, you know, like yeah, something else in life that needed your attention. So I think just remembering that it doesn't really have a bearing of the kind of actuary you'll become. So as long as you stay the course and do your best every time you get the chance, I think for me that's more important, because I've met great actuaries who didn't have the best experience in the exams. I remember my husband used to joke, eventually we'll all qualify in the long run. Sometimes like that thing used to get under my skin, because I'm like, I want to qualify now, you know. Yeah, but just remembering that as long as you keep your eyes focused on the end goal, it will just happen, you know. So as long as you do your best every time you have that chance, yeah, then the rest will just fall in place. Yeah. Any other questions?
Daisy clapped. Just a quick one there. I was about to say today I woke up panicking. Like, oh my God, time is gone, time is gone. Yeah, so Faith, it's not a weird question. I believe the anxiety catches up to us, especially if we feel like we've not done enough, right? But as Mercy did say, what then would you do to rise above it? In this case, it would be to put in your best for the time that's left. So just to echo that, put in your best for the time that is left, and yeah, just leave the rest to God. Leave the rest to God. But yeah.
Well, thank you, Jenna. I like that. Yeah, any other questions as we wind up? Yeah, okay. I think I found this super useful. I really hope that, you know, like here, all the attendees, either if you're doing an exam this sitting or next sitting, you found it useful. So I'm hoping that you're able to apply some of the tips, you know, like here you gained during the session to our own like learning strategies. And I'm really, you know, like here, I believe that you're going to have, you know, like here, quite some good performance in the next sitting. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you some other time. But all the best in your revision. You're doing well. So just keep at it. Just keep at it. Okay.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
Mercy,
much.
for hosting us. It's been a
Yeah, all
lovely
right. And we appreciate. Thank you, Mercy. Thank you, Leo, and thank you, Jenna Kalema.